of interviewing JB Blanc. JB, hello, how are you?
I'm very good. Let's decide whether it was a pleasure after the talk.
To be determined, to be
Don't
determined.
oversell it.
JB Blanc is not only an amazing actor, he is classically trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art and is known from some of the biggest voiceover IPs, such as Date Everything, Arcane, Mortal Kombat, The Mighty Nine. I could be here all day. But, anyways, JB, thank you so much for taking the time to sit here with us. I have plenty of questions, so I'm just going to dive in from the beginning.
Pleasure to be
So,
here.
I have done some research, of course. Uh, sorry. And one of the amazing things that interested me is I did not know that you had trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. I'm just going to go RADA from now on, you guys, because it's long. So you spent many years in British theater before moving to the U.S. Could you talk to us a bit about how that classical training shaped the way that you approach acting today?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I think for a long time there was sort of American training versus British training, which was American training was very emotional training and a lot of method was used. RADA was about Stanislavski, which is where the method was kind of born. It was just taken to a further extreme. But imagining situations where you felt certain ways and finding those emotional links to material. It was technically very strong, a lot of voice work, a lot of movement work, a lot of yoga and Laban and Tai Chi and stuff that you don't
Oh,
expect to learn. But it's all about calming the body, combating nerves, being ready to do very long runs of shows and find something inventive in them when you're doing a show for 3 months on the National Theatre stage. I've always believed that there's a marriage between emotional and technical training, and I think that both the two can work hand in hand. What it did do for me was there was a lot of kind of understanding text. What theatre does at the beginning of a play run, when you're rehearsing, you sit down for pretty much a week and you just tear the characters in the play apart.
wow.
And there's a lot of critical thinking. There's a lot of going through every scene, finding out what the motivations are, who's doing what, why, when, before you even stand it up. And so what I experience and what I think I benefited from in that is an analysis of text that there are trainers out there who will say to you that it doesn't really matter about the words. I disagree vehemently. RADA tells you that you are a vessel for a writer, that you're there to serve the writing. And I think that's an honorable pursuit because if you improvise too much around an audition, you're kind of saying I'm a better writer than you are, and it's not what they've asked you to do. And I think it's really important to have that kind of. I think a lot. I did a lot of Shakespeare training. I did a lot of Shakespeare work in the theatre. There's no better writer for teaching you about structure, gag lines, repetitions, rhythms of three, looking for references, all that kind of detail that is often missing from auditions in voiceover because people tend to sort of skim the text. And I think in most of my coaching, it's showing people how to pick up clues, to be Sherlock Holmes and mine for gold in that script so that you're not missing anything. Something I'll just add is that people often ask, how do I stand out? And I think they think you stand out by doing something wacky and interesting and different with the character. It's not always the right thing to do. You stand out by being really good at it. You stand out by really having understood the character, finding the detail in the text, and making sure you play all of that. And looking for opportunities to show dynamics and variation and variety of reads that are justified within the text and the write-up for the audition. That it's not just assumed, it's not just a wacky idea I had, but it's based in the text. Then you can't go far wrong. And what stands out to me are people who really understood it and then come with some sort of brave choice that is justifiable within the audition, not that just made up. Oh, I'll do it in a Greek accent because I think that sounds great. I can do one of those. It's not the character. And as soon as you're starting to think about, oh, I must stand out, you're distracted from playing the character you're being asked to play.
And you can hear it too. Oftentimes, you can hear when like, no, I'm doing this thing different because I think maybe this will be different, not because I dissected the text and this is naturally how I feel. So, question about that. That's such an interesting thing you said about you are the vessel for the writer, because oftentimes I hear a lot about improvisation and voiceover the fine line to balance. You know, we had I think one of our most recent guests we had was a director, and he said, personally as a director, I don't care if you are genuinely improvising and I can feel that, like, hey, you drifted off from this a little bit in the sense of not completely changing the text, but maybe if there was a pre-life before you go in, or like, what are your thoughts on improvisation, as long as you are genuinely connecting with the piece and dissecting it and say, I feel like it's this direction, as opposed to like, I'm going to try and look for things to make things different.
I think improvisation is a very broad spectrum. I think you have to be careful. I think it takes an experienced actor to understand how much to improvise and how much is too much and how much is too little. If it genuinely enhances a read, then there's room for a little bit. But again, it's pre-life or an afterthought or a slightly different way of saying it that does the same thing because it fits the dialect better. For instance, that happens a lot when you ask to do British work. They write often in dialect that they think it is. And I say to writers and producers all the time, don't write the dialect. That's the actor's job. So sometimes I get stuff in dialect and it's almost uninterpretable because it's not my approach to the dialect. And I'm British, so it's I can put that on it, but that's my job as the actor. You know, great playwrights don't write in dialect. They're the characters from the area they're from, and you do the dialect accordingly, and you can change the text to adapt to that. If improvisation is, I've got to prove to you how funny and clever I am, again, you're getting away from the character.
Right.
I've got to prove to you how well I can play the character, how well I've understood the character, what the writers are asking for, and that I can deliver that. And then you might get a callback and it all changes. That just happened to me. It was a completely different aspect of the character that they wanted to see. And I was like, oh, did I screw up the audition? No. They just wanted to see another side of it. I think be careful. Yeah, it's just don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. And sometimes they say it's welcome, but even that doesn't mean like rewrite the whole script. It just means feel free to enhance where you see fit, but be tasteful with it, is my advice.
Hey, JB, just on the same vein, I guess, you said analysis of text and looking at how you'd approach a character. How do you approach that differently from an audition versus actually doing the character once you have the part?
I don't think you do.
Okay.
I don't think you do. I think that's what you're providing a snapshot of what the character will be when you play him or her or them. And so I think there's an instinct to be particularly showy sometimes in auditions. And again, if you're thinking in those terms, you're not thinking in terms of character. I talk a lot often about, you know, there are a number of things that are in this business that are designed to make you fail. Why is that guy working and not me? How did I not get that part? Why? How did I get that part? I'm too tall. I'm too short. I'm too blonde. I'm too, you know, whatever it might be. All of those, it's like I used to get sides when I was young and go, well, the character kisses the girl. I never get cast as anyone who kisses a girl. That's not going to be me. And that was really wrong because they've sent it because they know I've got something. What's JB's angle on that? What's my version of that character? And every character is for you if you know apply yourself in the right way. You can all give something that makes an offer. Very occasionally you'll go, well, I just don't think I'm not capable of delivering that and doing it justice. But I think that comes later. And in the beginning, you just, go for everything. It's all experience. There's no such thing as wasted experience.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I think you're sort of giving a window into how the character would be if you played him.
Awesome. Thanks.
I definitely do want to go. You just mentioned that, and I definitely do later on want to do a tangent about imposter syndrome and how to tackle that, because it is, screw it, I'm going for it now. Now that we're on the topic, it's so, I see it across everybody, from somebody that's like, I just got my first IMDb credit to like, I have so many IMDb credits. And I think that's something that people truly, I cannot express this enough, that like having the mental stability and the mental strength and health is just as important, if not equally as important, as mastering the technique, because you need to have that in this industry, especially now with oftentimes, we're alone in the booth, and it just feels like auditioning or anything, you're often speaking into a void and you're not hearing back. And with social media, how everybody needs to be like a voice actor and an influencer these days, there is comparison. I just said it's just running rampant, and I can't express this enough to people about how you're not going to survive, and you're going to hear it every time that you audition, and other people are going to hear it too. If desperation is just seeping from you, then it's only going to cause you into a further deep spiral. So in the age of like, with social media and everything like that, how do you keep yourself balanced?
I think my advice on that is ask someone else,
Mm.
because I'm terrible at it. Not good at it. Not good at social media. Very much the kind of like, what is this stuff? I do what I have to do because I have to announce for shows and conventions and stuff that I'm doing. So I try
Yes.
and do something kind of interesting and funny with that. I'm not very good at keeping that going. I was just contacted by an influencer. They want to interview me, and I completely backed away because they're not my world.
Yeah.
My tip is make it about the work, and you won't be distracted, because that's a distraction. And my other tip is something that a friend said to me recently, and it's simple and brilliant. The people who don't have imposter syndrome tend to be imposters.
Interesting.
I think imposter syndrome is a very valid thing to have.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm going to drop a clanger, but years ago at the National, I worked with a two-bit actress who was sort of up and coming called Judi Dench. She'd just been made a dame, and she was constantly going, well, this is probably my last job. I'll never work again. I mean, it's just so hard. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to carry on doing theatre. And you're just like aghast. And I said to her one point, I said, Judy, what's all that about then? She got that little twinkle in her eye. And she said, well, JB, I think that's what keeps me honest. And it keeps you motivated and focused on the work, because no one wants to be caught out with their pants down.
Yeah.
Some people do, but we don't want those people around. But no one really wants that. And so I think having a dose of conscience is good. That's all it is. It's just saying, be careful. Just make sure you've been detailed enough. Make sure but make it about the work. It's not you, it's the character.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is making an offer. They've got a problem and you're making an offer. You may not be the right solution to that offer. That's fine. Trust that your confidence is going to build over time. No one starts with that confidence. And if they do, they often go off the rails.
Yeah.
You build that confidence over time. It comes with experience, and you get better and better at it. You still have to keep reminding yourself of the rules, though. I do, John DiMaggio does, everyone does. Everyone has to keep going, okay, let's just keep focus on the character.
Yeah.
Amazing.
How do you, since this is such a creative job, and when you are first starting off with voiceover, it's like the honeymoon phase of this is fun, this is a hobby. When the hobby transitions into full-time work, how do you keep your creativity your creative side fulfilled and balanced while tackling the fact that your creative side is work?
The creative side is the reason you got there. So don't ever betray that. It's always valid. Actors are children. They are, the reason we're actors is because we remember how to play. You have to remember you play a part. You play a role. It's a screenplay. And so that word play is what gives you the experimentation, within the bounds of the character, within the bounds of what you've been offered. Or what's been laid in front of you as an audition. The sense of play, even if you're playing very serious material is very fun to play. Comedy is often very difficult and very serious to play. Comedy is a serious business. It's a cliche, but it's true. The rules of comedy are very rhythmical. They're very, there are certain rules that need to be obeyed, really, to find the structure, so that when there's a setup and an undercut, or but again, it's about learning that comedic structure of plays and pieces of writing. So I think always, however serious and big the business, your role doesn't really change. The job is still the same no matter how big you get. And I think if you get cocky and you get you forget the rules and you start not being as good as you were. And I've seen it happen. And I think even the longest term, most established actors still need a director. They still need reminding. And often they're going, God, of course, I completely forgot about that. You're right. And I'm just there to make sure that gets steered and that they're aware of it. And they're free to make the choices they want to make. But I think retaining that sense of play is always, because then you're always inventive. You're always open to freshness.
Yep.
Never be afraid of, I don't know. Even as a director, I don't know. Let's find it. And that allows the actor to show me something that I didn't see. And they're in a comfortable, easy place to work and free to be creative. So I don't think there are people who get jaded. And they've got distracted and they're like, why aren't I working more? I've got all this experience. Why aren't I working? What again? The big distraction is the monster of distraction is leaning in. Go back to the fundamentals, go back to the beginning, break it down to the absolute fundamentals,
Yeah.
and you will be back on track.
Nice.
In theater, if you get into trouble on stage, and it happens a lot, the simplest thing you can do is just start really listening. And listening will inform your reactions, and you'll start reacting honestly again. Because we all get into that. Oh, I'm not in it tonight. I don't feel it. I'm not. This. I've done it. I've done it in voiceover booths. It's just why am I not feeling this role? What's wrong? I'm doing something that isn't gelling. And sometimes I'll even break a session and say, "Can I talk to you for a second? Here's the aspects that I'm worried about. What do you think that is? And where can we go there? Can we go there?" That shows that you're an interested participant. That you're part of the team. That you want to contribute. And you want help understanding because you want to do a good job for them. Again, serving the writer. I feel like I'm not serving the writer. That's usually what it is. I feel like I'm connecting with this. Help me. And that shows that you're aware and an actor. An actor is not perfection. It is a work in process and progress.
Hey, JB, you talked about directing. How did you transition from acting to directing?
I'd done a bit of directing in the UK. I directed some middle scale opera stuff and a couple of plays, and it never occurred to me. It never really occurred to me. And my career, voiceover wise, was going well. I was doing a lot of stuff for Warner Brothers at the time, and my life was going horribly. I was in a bad marriage. I'd gotten into awful debt. I was losing my house. I was getting divorced. And a woman called Karen Pearson, or Karen Fishman now, who was the producer at Warner Brothers, just asked me one day, there's this game, Shadow of Mordor, a AAA title. We've got lots of British orcs, a lot of it's British dialect. We think you'd be good to direct it. It hadn't really occurred to me. And suddenly I was in the deep end. And my first few sessions were with a couple of hacks called Nolan North and Troy Baker. And I thought, well, they're going to eat me alive. I mean, they're going to devour me. They were magnanimous and generous and patient and listened. And I thought, oh, other people think you can do this, so you may as well. And that's often the way. Sometimes other people spot what you can do more than you can. And I think that happens quite a lot. It's quite surprising. You go, oh, really? You're interested? Okay, well, I'll certainly give it a go. Yeah. And then when I was there, it just fit. It fit like a glove, and I felt fine. And I went to mentors of mine. The first time I directed performance capture, I went to a mentor.
Yeah.
I went to Amy Heading, who is a goddess in that world, who I'd worked with over the years on Uncharted, who's, I think, one of the biggest video game geniuses out there in terms of story. And I was like, I don't know if I have the tools. And she's like, what are you talking about? You've done enough of this stuff. You're fine. You know exactly what you're talking about. Think of it as theater. And I was like, oh, click, bong. Okay. Yeah, that's what it is. It's 3D theater. So it made sense to me then. And then once I was in the chair and I wasn't screwing it up, hopefully, it sort of made sense. And I think what warmed my heart most was that other actors felt like they had an ally. Because they knew I'd been in the booth and been through just about every terrible situation you could go through in a booth. And it's nice to have someone at the helm who knows what that feels like. Yeah. Because quite often I'll say, let's just take a break. I'm like, it's when producers say, well, we've been going an hour, we should take a break. And I'm like, can you let me do the breaks? Because an actor could be in a rhythm, they could be on a certain path, we could be chasing something that a break could deflate. So it's working with the actor you've got and vibing off them and understanding their process. That's empathy. And I think acting is empathy. You have to, it doesn't take arrogance to be an actor. It takes humility. Can I rid myself of my crap so that I can step into someone else's shoes and really see the world from their point of view?
Amazing.
A lot of actors aren't great at being themselves. They're frightened. I was a very frightened little child who was bullied, had a rough childhood. I became an actor because I didn't want to be me. That's the sad truth. That's not just a kind of play for sympathy. It's the truth. Other people's lives were more interesting. And also trying to understand why people behave the way they do. Right. It's psychology acting. There should be a fascination of why is this guy saying that? What is he not saying? What do other people say about him, to him? How do they respond to him? All that kind of circumnavigating the role is really helpful to inform you. Because so many actors go my line blah 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 blah, my line blah 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 blah, and fatal fatal. All those other lines are really important because you're in a conversation with someone and you glean a lot about yourself from the way they respond.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Some of the things that I love that I'm getting from this is that this is play. That, yeah, like, yes, of course, this is work. This is a job that you need to take seriously, but a lot of this aspect is play. There is nobody that's in suits in the studio, you know, clicking their pen, be like, all right, let's go. Nope, yep, nope, yep, no. Like, a lot of us are having fun. Yeah, like Bill. They're just Bill in the office. She's like, at the ready.
But those guys could have been developing this game for 8, 9, 10 years. By the time they get to the voiceover, they're just pumped.
Yeah.
And you're pumped with them, and you're like, okay, this is now going to come to life. And the joy you have as an actor is taking that 2D character and giving them something 3D. It's the most exciting part of the whole process.
Cool.
And so they want you to succeed because they need you to succeed. They've hedged a bet on you. And so you're in the driving seat. You have all the tools. You've done the work. You got the job. Don't go in the booth, for God's sake, and show them everything else that you can do, because there's nothing worse. And it's like, you know, actors, good actors, producers, and casting directors know what you do almost. They know what you can do almost better than you do.
Right.
That's the job. And so often, you know, that it's a wonderful experience to take an actor in a direction they didn't even know they had in them. And again, as the actor, you've got to be open to being taken there, because you'll learn something and you'll have an extra, you know, arrow in your sheath. The other thing I'll mention about RADA is discipline. It taught me discipline because there were structured classes every day. We had the old factory clock on where you get your ticket stamped. That stamped the time I walked through the door at 8 in the morning. And if I was late, I could go in front of the principal. 3 times I could be thrown off the course. A course that 5,000 people had auditioned for 25 places. Only 25 people in the year. So that was a very real cost. And I do feel like that discipline, being on time, it sounds simple. You don't think, what's that got to do with acting? It's everything to do with it. It shows you're ready. It shows you're on it. It shows that you are committed to their project. If you waltz in half an hour late without warning, people get pissed. It's expensive time, studio time.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a question in chat from Adam. Hey, Adam. I find I do well when working with a director and bringing specificity and life to my reads. Do you have any tips on how to bring that same caliber of performance into my auditions?
Yes, be your own director. Demand that of yourself. Listen to your shit. Do your first recording and lay it down, and then think, what if I've got that wrong? What if it's not that? What if it's something else? Try it a completely different way. Somewhere between those, you will find that kind of maxim. But yes, you've got to be asking those questions that a director would be asking yourself. And again, practice makes perfect. When you get a lot of auditions under your belt, you start and you sort of see what scores and what doesn't, why you missed certain things perhaps. You don't necessarily need feedback. You do know yourself if you've done a good job, I think. I do believe that. And that you get better at knowing that the longer you go on. But you must be demanding on yourself. And you must question yourself. And it's very good to, I've got this really difficult piece of text. Whew, I got through it. Great. Good. All right, we're done. Maybe not. Have another look at it. Have another listen. Oh, I just spotted that. There's dynamics in there that I need to tweak and stuff like that. So, you know, drive yourself hard. And you are your own director. And it is more difficult to get perspective. But I find like removing myself from that process and analyzing it coldly as a director will make me more aware of things that I may have missed. And I think it's something you get better at.
In that process, do you like take a break, go for a walk, have a nap? Like, is there any way to clear your head to have a re-look at it, kind of thing?
All of those things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And therefore, don't leave your auditions to the last second.
Yeah. I mean, even sleeping overnight if you had time.
You're screwed. You're screwed if you're just like, I've thrown it out and okay, hope for the best.
Right. First draft.
Yeah. Rarely. I mean, for me too. Very rarely is the first draft the one.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And sometimes I don't have the time, and I am doing it at 2 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's like, you know. But I'm trying to slow myself down under those circumstances and give it the due attention that it needs. Don't ever just palm it off. That's dangerous. There's always more to be found.
Yeah.
And the biggest example of that is doing theatre, where you could be running something for 3 months and no 2 nights are the same.
Amazing.
They're never the same. There's a different audience, a different combination of people, different actors in different states that night. Often when it goes brilliantly, I don't even remember the show. I didn't even remember what happened. I was just in there, and I can't explain how that happens. Some nights it does. There's another good attention lesson that I wanted to talk about in theatre, which is sometimes in theatre you can feel the audience losing it. They're sort of starting shifting and coughing, and what a lot of actors do is they suddenly get louder, and they say, "You're not listening to me, so I'm going to speak louder." And actually, a technique that was taught to me was actually bring it back in more intimately.
Interesting.
And then people go, "Oh, I'm missing something.
Yeah.
What's that?" And so sometimes those, there's a line that your first instinct is to bigly scream and give it oomph. The next question should be, what if it wasn't that? What if it was? What if I undercut it? What does that do? Oh, that brings out another slyer side to the character. That's another aspect they talked about in the write-up. The write-up is not just, the kind of the parameters of the character is always useful information if there's an image. I remember in a class years ago, there was a sort of ratty creature, and the first thing I wanted the guy to do was make a rat face. And then read the lines like that. Everything changes. Oh, I suddenly become really ratty.
Yeah.
Everything changes just from that physical signal.
Yeah.
That's the play I'm talking about. It's like leap into the character. He's an orc. Oh, I'll drop my jaw out. Give me some teeth. And see what that sounds like. It suddenly drives you in a certain direction. That training at RADA, that physical training, I did a lot of physical theatre in the first part of my career. That was really good for that stuff, which is leap in, be brave, leap in, see what happens. It was interesting working for Blizzard for so many years, because a lot of the work is creatures who have truthful emotional lives. You're working with the creature. I always put it akin to The Sopranos, because it's like, what if a mobster was in therapy? What if a mobster had, domestic issues? That's kind of what orcs are in WoW. It's kind of fun. You can have these deep emotional scenes between orcs, and I love that.
That's incredible.
One of the things that kind of came to my mind in the beginning was you mentioned Tai Chi, and we're kind of back in the importance of physicality in voiceover, because it isn't just about the voice. Our physicality plays a huge part into this, and I especially learned this when reviewing the Alexander technique. So at least for when first coming up, physicality was something I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. What is something that's that you think is essential to your performance, whether it be in theater, whether it be in voiceover, that other people may not think of? What's something unique that is
Watch any
beneficial?
session that Fred Tatasciore does. He's like a wild man behind the microphone. His head is still, but there's all kinds of stuff going on. It's a very simple physical. I mean, this is something you learn through. And at RADA we did Alexander technique twice, 3 times a week. Every week I was there, because it's an amazing way of restoring energy when you're doing long runs. I would do Alexander technique between a matinee show and an evening show, and you can do Alexander technique for 20 minutes and feel like you had a good few hours sleep. It's quite extraordinary. But it also teaches you how to lock into different parts of your body. You're always looking for tension in your body in Alexander technique. And it sounds weird, but I worked with a woman called Patsy Rodenberg. I really recommend that you read her books. She is, I think, the leading voice on voice, emotion, and breath, and how to deliver that as an actor. The Actor Speaks is one of her great books. It's a good place to start. Physicality is everything, and the way you stand changes the way you sound. You puff your chest out, and you know, breathing correctly, that kind of stuff. All those techniques. Everyone should see a singing teacher and learn diaphragmatic breathing. It is incredibly useful. I've worked with actors in booths who are kind of getting part of the sentence out and keep snatching little breaths. Well, they're always behind the text then. They're always playing catch up. You want more capacity than you will ever use.
Yeah.
Then you're comfortable. And it's confidence. That brings confidence, because you're never kind of like, acting fundamentally is breath. So if you're nervous, speed up your breath. What does that do? It changes my voice completely, becomes different. And I'm using breath to find that kind of tentativeness, and I don't know if I can. That's a very simple technique. Start with breath. Because the instinctual stuff that we do as human beings, coughing, laughing, sneezing, crying, they all come from your belly. It's a deep emotion. That's your emotional core.
Mm-hmm.
So Patsy talks a lot about how you take that emotional core and relate it to the emotion that you're playing. Sounds very technical, but once you understand the process, you do the work and forget it, and then it's there. Breath is crucial. Breath is everything. But even just a physical signal like the rat face, like a big lumbering orc, feel that size, and suddenly, I tell this story a lot, and it's boring, but I played a character called Bane in Arkham Origins, and Bane can be played a number of different ways. Sometimes he's played like this. And so I arrived at the session. I didn't know what game I was in. I didn't know what character I was playing. And I walk in, and there's Troy. Why does he keep coming up? There's Troy and Roger Smith. And I'm like, hey, guys, what's going on? And they're like, yeah, we're doing this. I said, what is this? They're like, you don't know? I said, no, it's Arkham Origins. I'm playing a younger version of Batman. He's playing a younger version of Joker. And you're playing Bane. And I was like, great. And then I had a 10-minute discussion with the producers, Eric Holmes, who's awesome, one of them. And what kind of Bane are you looking for? Well, we want to go Latino. We want him born on that Cuban prisoner island, but he's very well educated. He's enormous. And so those sort of things, I'm thinking of this big guy who has this enormous chest cavity. So I thought I'd bring him down here. And then often Bane is a kind of brute. That makes him kind of dumb. And I wanted to keep him in this intellectually sound place so that I knew that the pace at which he spoke, in touch with his size but not defined by it, working against that brute frame to still bring out the intelligence of the guy made him more formidable and dangerous.
Yeah.
And so we kind of pieced together that through the logic of what was presented to me. And that's, again, remember they say, don't do a voice.
Yeah.
The voice comes from thinking, okay, where's he from? Who is he? What's place, time, action? Tom Keegan wrote a great book about directing. He talks about place, time, and action all the time, which are it's sort of the fundamental core of Stanislavski. Where am I? What am I doing? Who am I talking to? Where have I come from? Where am I going to? What do I want? What do I want? The simplest question you can ask yourself as an actor is, what do you want? What does he want from this scene? But the physicality comes from the signals you're given, and from if you're lucky enough to get an image, that's great. Experiment with it. Take a wide stance, lower your mic. What does that do? Does it ground you more? Does it make you feel more earthed? The beauty of a training at somewhere like RADA is it really puts you in touch with all that stuff, how to work physically. And you can see great actors. Heath was a friend of mine, and when he did Brokeback Mountain, the guy his chest is concave. That seems very simplistic, but his heart is hiding. It's back. He's not open and presenting it. It's a really simple physical signal that makes you go, God, this guy is awkward. He's in pain. He loves and he can't. And he's a cowboy and he's not allowed to be gay. And all of that comes out from a physical choice. And that's just brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's doing a lot of the work for you.
Yeah.
Then the character kind of comes out with that mumbling kind of thing. And you get that awkwardness and that emotional stuntedness. So it's a number of things, and it can be different for every character you play. It can be a different set of techniques that warrants it. Gary Oldman, who I was lucky enough to direct, will tell you that sometimes he puts on a coat and goes, wow, there it is, got the character. And other times it requires deep introspection. Depends.
Really cool.
And some characters connect with you much more quickly. Vanda connected with me very quickly. I'm a father of a young girl who has difficulties and has been through a tough life. It made sense of how I would talk to a young girl who I was a father figure to.
Right.
Yeah.
So that connection was slightly easier. Doesn't mean I have to take my eye off the ball. I'm still trying to do all those rules that I'm trying to adhere to tell the story, to honor the writing, which was great writing, luckily. But sometimes you have to honor turds too. Some of your work as an actor is making bad scripts sound good.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, I bet. Have you ever done or thought about doing writing?
Oh, I've thought about it. It usually kind of gets spun through the air and ends up in here. Because I don't trust myself as a writer. My camera's gone out of focus. I do this trick. Hold on a second. Sometimes it works. Yeah, maybe. Is it going to? No, it's not going to. Go on. Yeah, there we go. No, it's not going to. It'll come back.
Yeah.
There
There
we
it
go.
goes. Yeah, I've done bits of writing and I've fixed stuff. I directed an anime series years ago, and it was really difficult. And I had to redo the adaptation. It was not really writing per se, but a lot of people tell me I should. Maybe one day I will.
Hey, there's something about, is it called script doctoring or making things
Yeah.
more human? Like it feels like you've got a good feel for that, possibly. You know, I don't know. Just sort of thinking
One
about
of my favorite things to do is, and I always say yes, is when you get invited to do a reading of a script, whether that's public or not. I love the process of writers listening to their stuff for the first time and going, I didn't hear that. That's amazing. That's another aspect. I've got to rewrite that scene.
Yeah.
I got invited to Disney to do a reading of Pirates of the Caribbean, the fourth movie, because the third one had come out, or the third movie, and the second one had come out, and it was all very confusing. So they wanted to do a script reading.
Yeah.
That was, it was like Johnny Morris and some really big actors. But it's a fascinating process because there's something magical about bringing that to 3D life that really informs the script and the story. So I love writers, and I'm a fierce believer that if the writing is good, my job is much easier. It is, because it makes sense. It's easier to, if you're doing theatre as well, it's easier to learn Shakespeare because it's image to image to image to image. It's good writing, and you kind of don't learn it by learning it. You kind of follow the image trail, and it all slots in. Yeah,
Okay. Well,
you have to stop me, or I'll just keep going.
you should write. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, bless you.
I mean, I could sit here and ask you like 20 more questions that I have, but I'm going to let you go because we'll be here for 2 hours.
All right.
So, JB, thank you so much for coming on here and chatting with us. Besides SkillsHub.life, where can we find you? Socials and all the things.
I'm at the JB Blanc only because someone else nicked the name on most things. I think Instagram, and I'm on Facebook. I'm on everything, but Twitter is the JB Blanc as well, or X, or whatever. That shows you how competent I am. But listen, kids, you need to be on it. Don't do what JB does. But I'm trying to get better at it. I'd like to just hire someone to handle it,
Right.
because I really don't feel good about that stuff and publicizing myself. It's interesting what the internet has done to our business in many ways, shapes and forms. It's changed a lot,
It really is.
and it's provided a ton of opportunity for people.
Yeah.
There's validity to all those sites, and there's a market for pay to play. I mean, I'm a big advocate of getting the union as soon as you can and contribute, because this is something worth fighting for.
Yeah.
And I also think that the way the world is going, we need content and storytelling and reminding that we're human,
Yes.
because
the
we're in
human
danger
part-
of losing that.
I mean, I don't think an AI can do the script writing, script docking, script reading that a person can, right? So I think there's.
I don't think it can bring it can do an impression of a JB Blanc voice or a JB Blanc approach to a character, but it can't bring the emotional life that I've had to a role. And so I'm not convinced yet.
No.
If writers can't make something perfectly human, then an AI certainly can't.
I don't think so.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yep.
And I hope you're right. But this is how the reason we are where we are today is because people sat around campfires and told stories. This is the direct correlation of where we're at today. So let's keep telling those stories. And I think video games particularly have been a wonderful and incredible experiential way to tell stories. And you're no longer playing a game. You're playing the lead character in a big movie, and it's interactive.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It's great. Yeah, I love those games.
Yeah, this industry is a very, very human industry that I don't think the AI could replicate in like even 20 years. There's just something very profoundly human about the writing, about the storytelling, the crafting, the acting. It's far too human to produce anything that could compare.
And it's something I wasn't ready for when I started. I never used to do conventions. I was like, I don't want to get money for autographs. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel justified. And then I went to a couple. And the way this stuff has touched these people's lives, the fact that these kids are often broken and wounded and have difficulties, and this is a safe place for them to create relationships and friendships and networks. When they meet you, I mean, the amount of people that just walk up, and maybe it's just me, maybe I should shower more, but they just walk up and burst into tears. And and it's beautiful. And a convention is a place where everyone is accepted. It's an extraordinary environment. Be the weirdo that you were destined to be,
Yeah.
and no one will judge you. They'll give you as much time as they can, and it really, really touches these kids, and it helps them. And my own kid, she was at school during COVID, and she's on the spectrum. Gaming was where she could actually touch base with people and find some common ground that otherwise she wouldn't have had.
Yeah.
So that's worth something.
Yeah, absolutely.
The conventions are hugely humbling. They're really humbling because we do what we do in a black box or a Parisian whore red box. I don't know why I painted it this color. And then you don't really see the results. People write articles about it, fine. But when you go and meet the people and you go, holy shit, I didn't know Vanda was touching people like that.
Yeah.
I may have had some weird thought that I hoped it might, but when you see it in real terms, it's like, okay, I'm doing good stuff here.
It's like
Yeah.
an
Just
asynchronous theater experience.
A shared experience. A shared experience. There was a great theatre company in England called Shared Experience, and Shakespeare wrote about it. Shared experience is what this is all about.
It's
Because
what the human experience is. It's shared experiences. That's how you bond, how you connect. That's how
life is tough. Life's hard. We need each other.
Yep.
Oh, especially
100%.
now, yeah.
And the
Stories
authenticity is bigger these days. So
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah, and the drive for that I really approve of because it is becoming more filmic, and techniques that I wouldn't have used or that I learned years ago are now able to be more appropriate because they're less showy. It's more genuine. It's more naturalistic and telling real stories with real characters. That's where the fun is.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, JB.
My absolute pleasure. I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much for asking me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And be sure to stay tuned for who our guest is next week.
See you in the trenches.
Thanks, JP.
Bye.